Sonic, the heart of your system.
Hi and welcome back to a quick update video regarding the AMD Ryzen 3000 OC brackets. There was a ton of feedback and a ton of questions. That's why I decided to make this quick update video to just reply to your questions and feedback and also to give you some results. I first thought it would be stupid to do your own testing and present results, but obviously you're kind of right that you want to see some results. That's why I'm going to show you the results of this particular system with a Ryzen 3900X. But first, let's talk about some questions. First of all, I have to point out that this is really an experimental and also enthusiast product, because from an objective point of view, obviously it doesn't make much sense to lower your temperature by 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 degrees at best and expect to get a lot out of this. From a neutral point of view, you're just lowering your temperature and it's not really necessary, because your CPU does not care very much if it's running at 60 degrees Celsius or 65 degrees Celsius. But for me personally, I just like to tune things as much as I can. That's just the nature of how I am. And I just give you the opportunity to do exactly the same. You can do it if you want to. If you think it's an absolutely stupid product, you don't have to buy it. It's also fine if you think that. You can also leave a comment down below if you think it's stupid. That's totally fine. Also in this regard, because you have to have the will to also experiment and also do a little bit of DIY. Regarding the long screw that comes with a custom bracket, for example, that's also like a compromise. It's like in politics, we have to do a lot of compromises when we're designing such a product, because we're testing a ton of coolers, a ton of different main boards, and then we're seeing, okay, if we make it too short or too wide or whatever, it maybe fits on product A but doesn't fit on product B. Therefore, it's a lot of playing around with compromises, but we're looking into supplying different screws, maybe having 2 or 3 shorter screws, black screws, as add-on if you don't like the original one in the custom bracket. Some people asked if it's compatible to Ryzen 2000, 1000. That's not, well, it's technically compatible, but it doesn't make any sense to use it because the die is in the center. You can use it if you like to have a different mounting mechanism for whatever reason, but you won't have a temperature advantage there. Also for Threadripper, because some people asked, there will be nothing like this for Threadripper because all the dies are like in the center. It doesn't make sense to move the CPU cooler around. For supply, a lot of people asked, what about shipping from Caseking International, especially into the US? Caseking does not directly ship to the US. We do it if you contact us over mail. We can usually also arrange it. OC UK will also carry those products. They can ship international as far as I know, but we will also send them directly to US suppliers. So you can save shipping costs. You probably have to wait 1 or 2 more weeks, but we have partners in the US that will get the products directly. Some people still asked if direct die is possible, but we still have the same problematic that the plastic cover of the socket is a little bit higher than the rest of the CPU. Therefore, direct die also with this solution will not be possible as long as you don't modify your CPU block. Some people commented about material and also pricing of the product in general. Most of those parts, the black parts, are aluminum, they're anodized, they're also all CNC milled, and even just the small nuggets, the small brackets of the custom version, you have to mill them from 2 different directions. So you have to mount them in your CNC mill it from one direction, turn it around, mill it from the other part. So it doesn't really matter how small the part is, because just because you have to rotate it in between, it's adding a lot to the cost. And we are also packaging the stuff here in Berlin in a facility where handicapped people are working, which is something very cool because we can support those people. All my products are packaged in this facility. It's very, very nice. And it's not only that, but we can also, or we're more flexible. It's not only that, we're also more flexible, because especially in this situation where we got a lot of feedback from you guys, we're deciding on probably changing some stuff, and then we don't have a finished product coming from somewhere in China. We're doing it locally, and then we can locally also change some stuff, add screws or whatever. We're very, very flexible, so that's really cool. Some people asked or commented about the screwdriver in the AIO kit, if we cannot just leave away the screwdriver to save costs. That thing is like 5 cents. That doesn't change anything. A big part was actually a patent. We have a patent for this, for both versions, and the patent is about 5,000 euro. And obviously, just to cover the patent costs from those brackets himself, we will have to sell quite a bit of them. We received some feedback about the stencils, mainly because it's not so convenient, because you have to move them around on the CPU. it's correct that it would be more intelligent to make a cutout with the CPU in the center. We will do that for the next revision. We will also have the stencils available online as like 2D models or 3D models in case you want to 3D print them. If you want to just print them out on paper, you can maybe work around with them a little bit more easily, and we will have them online on my website. Some people asked why we're not specifically just design a new CPU block, but I thought RYZEN 3000 has been out for like 8 months, I think. So 10,000, maybe 100,000 of people will have those CPUs already at home. And I thought it's maybe better if we find a solution that's not expensive, that's possible to use with existing coolers, so people can still use their coolers at home and don't have to spend additional 80 euros on this. But if you think that it's maybe a good idea, or if you think there will be demand, maybe let me know in the comments if you really want to see a special cooler just designed for this. There also seems to be a demand for air coolers. A lot of people are asking if you can use one of those cooling solutions or mounting brackets with air cooling solutions. For the moment it's not possible because they're too complex. There are way too many different mounting solutions for air cooling units, like from Noctua, Alpenföhn, whatsoever. But we looked into those, and especially Alpenföhn is very interested in making a cooperation. So we will probably make a mounting bracket that can be used as an adapter from the custom version to Alpenföhn fans and probably also Noctua. I checked out Noctua fans today, and I think should be no problem to make an adapter from custom to Noctua fans. Damaging the mainboard with screws. It's a big problem. Thank you for the feedback and also the idea with the washers. Sometimes, especially if you're working on a project, you don't see the obvious solutions. In this regard, thank you very much, because from next week on we will bundle all the custom versions with a special washer. We found one today we could source quickly. It's basically a plastic washer that should fit onto those holes from the AMD backplate and has a big enough diameter, so it's preventing the screw from hitting the mainboard. So this problem should be solved for the future. The ones that were sent today, the items that were sent today, we can supply you afterwards with those. So you can get in touch with Caseking, for example, and we can just ship them to you afterwards. A lot of people asked why we made a through hole and not a not through hole. I'm not sure what the exact name is for this in English, but the thing is, the nugget has only a thread height of 4 millimeters, and following German standards, that's already not enough. The typical standard, it's like a German industry norm, should be DIN 55 or 76. And it says basically that you have to have 1.6 times the diameter using aluminium and M4 thread. And we're already below that standard because we're using only 4 millimeter height. From my testing, that's still fine. We don't have that much force onto one of those brackets, so that's totally okay. But lowering this to 2 or 3 millimeters is not really an option, because then there is a possibility that the thread would break off the nugget. That's really not an option. And also we need the possibility to flip around the nugget for compatibility reasons, and therefore we had to make it a through hole. There was no way around that. But we found a solution to that. Thank you very much. Let's get to the temperature results. I'm just going to show you an example of this system. Wie ihr sehen könnt, in diesem Beispiel ist der CPU-Kühler jetzt ganz nach unten und ganz nach links verschoben. Wenn wir uns jetzt mal kurz die Temperaturen anschauen, also ich habe es geresettet und jetzt machen wir mal kurz einen Cinebench R15 und da sehen wir jetzt beim CCD1 eine maximale Temperatur von ca. 78,8. CCD2 haben wir 71 Grad Celsius. Jetzt habe ich den Kühler ganz nach rechts und ganz nach unten verschoben, also einfach nur ganz rüber. Wärmeleitpaste natürlich neu aufgetragen, das ist klar, ansonsten ist alles gleich. Und dann machen wir jetzt den gleichen Test nochmal, also Cinebench R15 wieder, habe wieder alles resettet von den Maximaltemperaturwerten und dann machen wir das jetzt nochmal. Und dann sehen wir jetzt, haben wir bei CCD1 77, bei CCD2 74 Grad Celsius maximal, also war unten links tatsächlich besser für CCD1, ca. 4 Grad Celsius in dem Fall bessere Temperaturen. Und dann haben wir jetzt hier das AMD Stockmontage-Kit. Jetzt wieder einen frischen Run hier, das heißt, wir müssen erstmal die Werte resetten und dann machen wir einen neuen. sehen wir, sind wir hier bei knapp 82 Grad Celsius bei CCD1 und knapp 86 Grad Celsius beim CCD2. I have one more set of results with the same CPU clocked to 4.45 GHz, 1.45 volt. It's really the maximum this particular CPU can do, but it shows what kind of temperature differences you can expect, for example, with this type of AIO. Looking at the results on stock, you can see on the right we have about 86 to 94 degrees Celsius, depending on which exact sensor we're looking at. That's also a thing. All those sensors are from Hardware Info. I'm not sure where the exact sensor location is, how reliable this is, but I don't have any other temperature sources. Mounting the AIO bracket for the center, you can see we're dropping the maximum temperature on CPU die by 4 degrees Celsius. On CCD2, we're dropping it by 5 degrees Celsius, and on CCD1, we're only dropping it by 2 degrees Celsius. Moving the cooler completely to the left, we're dropping CCD2 by 6 degrees Celsius, while the rest is only dropping by 2 degrees Celsius. Moving it totally to the right, we're dropping basically the CPU again by 2 degrees Celsius and CCD2 only by 1.8 degrees Celsius. So it really depends on your individual CPU, which of the CCDs is getting hotter. Therefore, you can try to move it into a specific location. So it also might make sense to move it to the left or the right on a 3900X or 3950X. But you have to really test this yourself, and you really have to keep in mind that the results will vary on whatever you're testing and your cooler. And if you're testing, for example, Prime 95 for 1 hour, you might see no difference at all. Mainly because if you're running a 3900X with, let's say, a 240 AIO, you're more running in the limitations of the radiator rather than just the mounting improvements or whatever. So it depends on what you're exactly testing. This type of mounting will improve your temperatures in like spike situations during gaming, spike situations in 3D mic, non-physics test, but it will not probably lower your highest CPU temperature you can have in like maximum load situations, because in that situation you're probably limited rather by your radiator. Obviously in the AIO situation. If you're using custom water cooling, it could be completely different. In that case, I have no idea what kind of temperature improvements you can expect, because if it's a great water cooler that was already optimized for it, there is like the EK magnitude already out there, you can probably expect 0 degrees Celsius. If you have a very bad custom water cooler, you can maybe also expect like 5-6 degrees Celsius. That's up to you for testing. I would say the worse your cooler is, the better the results will be, but that's up to you for testing. If you have still any kind of questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. Thanks and see you soon.